Hey, it's Jackson. Welcome to the Primal Hacker podcast, where we unravel the truth of the mind and hack your health. This episode and any episode can be found here or on YouTube. You can also check out primalhacker.com for glasses, merch, programs, anything else you may be looking for. Now let's get started with host Thaddeus Owen and co-host Heidi Syme.
What is success?
What,
Why is that funny?
what do you mean?
Well,
What is
just
it to me?
yeah, like in general, like what is success to you?
Well, that depends.
How do you define it?
It could be learning a specific skill. Like, oh, I want to learn this martial arts skill. Now I'm successful. It could be making a lot of money. Like, what do you mean by success?
I mean, like just if you were to define what is successful in your mind, like in your reality, what is success to you?
In general, for life on Earth, or just for
general.
me? In general.
Well, in general, in your perspective for your life on Earth.
In general, what would success be? It would be learning how to navigate your time on Earth without anxiety or fear.
That's your
Maybe
definition.
that's like the broadest definition I could come up with.
So navigating this world without anxiety or fear.
Yeah.
That's your definition.
Yeah, like you have this, if we use the terms they gave us in English of your ship, your citizenship, your relationship, then this is your vessel that you're given, this body. And so navigating it through the waters of life on Earth successfully would be, how do you move through life without fear or anxiety? Because what if you make a bunch of money and you're still super unhealthy, you're sick and you're unhappy? Is that successful? So it's not money, right? What is it?
So you want to be the captain of your ship. You want to be a better captain of your ship.
You want to be the right.
But wait, why would you want to use their terminology?
Because
The
that's what
water.
they gave us that terminology. So
But you say like your body's a vessel. I say mine's a sacred temple.
okay.
So why do you want to use the water terminology?
Because they gave us that English language. I don't have a lot of other language skills.
You do, you don't.
If I go deposit my money somewhere, it goes into the bank, like the bank of a river. And then you have to get a pay slip or a permission slip, just like a slip where you park your boat, just like a port or a dock, how you come into life through the canal.
And then you have
Panama Canal.
You have to
life.
write a report. I like that.
You're reporting your ship. So yeah, so
it's in life.
So it's having, that's a really good point. Having a purpose, because some people, especially with the way the stock market has been going, people think they're really wealthy in fake digits. If they're 50 years old or more and the stock market has been going crazy and they have a really good paying job, then they probably have a bunch of zeros after their numbers in their 401k plan, because the stock market has been, as of, this is the first non-holiday, they say, of 2025. So in 2024, the stock market made new all-time record highs almost every single week. That's insane. So they have all this money, right? And then what do you do with all of that? You think you're really wealthy, but if you have no purpose and you retire with all that money, let's say you're only 38 and you have all this money and you retire from what? Like, what are you going to do with your life? If you have no purpose keeping you moving forward, then that's not really a life. So I guess success would be purpose.
Okay.
And able to navigate through Earth towards your purpose without fear or anxiety. And let's see, there was one more thing that just came to mind. Calmly working through the process, because most people just want the end goal. So if the end goal is, let's say for most people that lived in the 80s, $1 million, like that was most people's like life goal.
Yeah.
I want to make $1 million, because then you're super rich and then you can retire. So then all you care about is the end result. You don't care about the process. You get to the end, you didn't pay attention to anything in the meantime. And then what?
Yeah.
Then you're super unhappy. Maybe you're really unhealthy. And then you spend the rest of your money trying to become healthy again.
So that Dan Locke guy that I used to study, the Red Dragon, so he calls himself. Do you know what I'm talking about?
He's like an Asian guy, but
Yeah.
he speaks like an American.
Yeah. Anyway, he said that after he wrote his first book, which is The Psychological Tactics of Marketing or something like that. Do you remember that?
I thought it was like,
It's like the psychological. Anyway, that's not important.
it was like secret. There's some
Yes,
term like that.
it's secret
Forbidden.
psychological forbidden tactics of
Forbidden tactics, something like that.
Something. He said that after he made his first million, he was sitting on his boat, and after 1 month, literally 1 month, he's like, I never have to work again. I can buy anything I want. And he's like, I'm so effing bored. He's like, I'm so bored. And now he's like, I quit being rich and doing nothing.
Well, if you had that lifestyle, like, and you get to the end, so we're getting what's happening here.
Is on your mustache. It was like, and because I'm your wife and your co-host, I can peel weird stuff off your mustache.
Hopefully nobody saw that if you're watching the video. So if you want, this is the other thing, like most people, this is, I guess, where I was going, lifestyles.
Yeah.
Most people are so easily controlled into doing nothing with their lives and having no purpose, because their purpose for life is to achieve a lifestyle. This was actually
Okay.
something bizarre. Like I was watching some movie from I think it was 2014 or 2016. It was a while ago. I was watching it though last week with Hunter, one of my sons. So I was watching this movie. It was Assassin's Creed, right? Because he plays this video game. I was like,
I wouldn't
oh,
watch that.
I can watch this movie with him because it's not one of the worst movies ever. And most movies today are. It was a little older.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm watching this movie. There was a line in the movie where they said they're trying to take away free will from people so that there's no violence, because then they can control people, in this case under the Templars rule, with no free will, so that therefore there'd be no violence. And then somebody in the movie said, we don't need to take away free will from people because all they care about these days is having a specific lifestyle, and they're such good consumers that nobody has a purpose anymore, and no one uses their free will, nor do they want to. They just want to have a certain lifestyle, which is like this, for men, playboy, super wealthy lifestyle where all you do is play. And then as people get to our age, like towards the last part of your life.
Wait,
right?
what does that look like for women?
I'm just saying for men, because I'm not a woman.
I know,
So,
but in your mind, like, what do you see that as women?
well, similar, that they want a lifestyle. They want to look a certain way, have certain things, and mostly, at least according to all of the latest media, television, movies, Netflix series, whatever it is, all the women are depicted as single, living in the cities, and having a lot of money. And so I don't know if that's what women want, but that's what's being depicted and shown to them as a lifestyle. And so then that would mean
it seems opposite of like traditional family.
Sure.
So,
which could be a lifestyle as well, but maybe has more meaning or purpose. So if you get to the end of that life where you spent most of your time working for an end goal and not leaning into observing or being part of the process. So you get to this end goal, and then you get to be 50, 60, 70, and all you've done is make a bunch of money, and you think back on, oh, I could die any day now. And what did I do with my life? Well, I made $1 million or whatever it is today, $10 million. And I boated around the ocean. Well, like, is that the life? Like your time on this planet Earth, whatever it is, whether it's a matrix or a simulacrum or a real life, your one lifetime here, assuming you get one lifetime, all you did is play around. Like, what purpose is that at the end?
Yeah.
How does that serve you?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think there are like negative aspects of this world that try to keep people from their purpose?
So if you,
Do you think there's that play?
if you have a purpose, then you enjoy the process because you're living your purpose.
Mm.
You're doing something that has value to the world and to others that come after you, perhaps.
Come after, oh, come.
Well, once you
I thought you
die.
meant like come after you, like running after you. You mean your generations after you.
But if the we say the powers that be, but if the reality itself, if whatever's happening,
The powers that shouldn't be.
push you through the media, whether it's songs, frequencies, television, movies,
The screen.
video games, right? The screen-based reality.
Yep.
If they push you into giving up your free will, they even label people consumers. Oh, all they are is consumers. They just buy shit and eat things. Like that's not a purpose.
Yeah.
And so you would think that there's a lot of programming from the schools to the screen to never teach you that it's helpful to have a purpose and never teach you how to find what your purpose is. So the other thing they do though is they tell you about it in most of the movies and television shows, because as I just said, like some random line in Assassin's Creed, the movie from 2016 or whenever, they told you right there, like people have no free will because all they want is a lifestyle and they're consumers.
Well, what's free will?
Well, that's a whole philosophical debate.
I know, like
never
that.
been
Right when you
answered.
said that, but the first time I was like, well, what really is free
Supposedly
will?
free will is your ability to make a choice. That's
So if you're
truly your own.
influenced by something on the screen, does that alter your free will?
If somebody markets constantly to you from the time you were born to choose a certain thing, is it really a choice? Or for you to desire a certain thing and you make
Yeah.
a choice for that thing, is it truly a choice? Is there free will or is everything predestined? So if everything's predestined and there's destiny, then there's no free will. So everything you do has already been known in advance. So that's a philosophical debate
So
that I
nothing
think
ever matters, and Metallica had it right all along. No, what is it? Nothing even matters.
something like that. So I like to think that we have free will, even if there could be things that are predestined, who knows? But I like to think that we have free will to make choices, and making a choice that's truly your own takes a lot of inner work to separate yourself from all the programming that's been done to you since you were a child.
Okay, so let's flip this a little bit. What can someone do who's like, here's this information, is like, oh my God, like waking up in the Matrix, right? Like, what can they start to do that would help, I guess, find a purpose, right? Or move toward that way of thinking.
So if success is having a purpose, enjoying the process, feeling useful, and then navigating toward your purpose without fear and anxiety, because things are always going to be thrown at you to make you fearful.
Okay,
Just look at the news every day.
let me backtrack. What do you do? And then what would someone do?
I can say what somebody should or could do.
I know, but let's hear what you do first, and then. So,
Find out what you enjoy doing.
but what do you do?
Find out what I enjoy doing. Think about what I enjoy doing. I always think about what do I enjoy and how can I turn that enjoyment into a purpose that then also benefits other people besides just myself. So then I think about all the things that I enjoy, and I have there's lots of ideas that then I could go after.
So, but one of those things that you have done in your past is help cure, not cure, but like not rid yourself of anxiety. And then you started teaching other people.
Correct.
So that was like your whole journey through like the red and blue light stuff.
Well, part of it was doing a lot of inner work. So letting things from the past go, trying to erase the programming that has been done to us for years. But first you have to recognize that you're being programmed. That's why they call television programming. That's what they call newscasting.
I was gonna say
broadcasting, because they're casting a spell. So you have all these spells cast over you. So the first step is to figure out the things that you enjoy and make sure that there are things that you actually enjoy and not things that you like because it feeds your ego. So like, oh, well, I enjoy fancy cars. Well, do you enjoy the fancy cars because you think other people look up to you when you're in those cars? when the reality is they just want the car. They don't care about you.
Yeah, or some people talk about like a man who fancies his car more than his wife, or right, like that. Now it's off balance, right?
Pretty much way off balance.
Yeah.
So figure out what you enjoy while you deprogram all the things that were implanted in your mind, because there's a lot of things that have been programmed into us to want. So we think that's what we enjoy or want. But really, like, where do you find yourself in flow? Like, where do you find yourself doing something where you forget the time and maybe a lot of time passes, but it doesn't seem like it?
Mm.
So that's in flow. So have you ever found yourself there? And what are the things that you do?
Some of the mindset Proctor Gallagher people, they talk about like, what did you do between the ages of 7 and 14?
Yeah, some
So
people
that's
had
kind of-
really bad childhoods.
Yeah.
And wouldn't want to go back to
Right.
those things.
Or what do you see yourself? What did you daydream about during that time too?
Yep. So that can be helpful.
So that's when you're like really close to source and not you're well, clearly it's you haven't been that programmed and indoctrinated at that.
I mean,
juncture.
Nowadays I would disagree with that.
Nowadays, maybe it's a little younger.
They start
It's
them
okay.
on the iPad when they're first born.
No, the stuffed animals, that's a cell phone.
Teach them young now. So now I don't know. Now it's even more challenging.
Yeah.
I mean, if I think about what I enjoyed, it was being outside in nature, camping, hiking, and martial arts. Those are my passions. And then with our business, we teach people about nature and how to be out in nature and why being out in nature always trumps being inside of technology.
Yeah. Well, that's actually what spurred this whole conversation, because we had spent a couple days out in nature and I started like I get really curious in nature. So then we were just like in the car and I was like, Thaddeus, what does success mean? So
Out of nowhere, we're just driving. What does this mean?
but your
No,
answers
define
are
it.
really good. And so I came home and I wrote it down and I was like, babe, we're going to podcast about this tomorrow, because I just told you with no free will.
Told me what I was going to do
No,
and when to do it.
I asked you if you wanted to, and you said, yeah, because I think it'd be an interesting conversation. So
I think most people are still in this area where success is making a lot of money, having a big house, and being retired.
yeah. And I think a lot of parents put that on, like I've read some stuff too, where like parents look at a child who has that or who has done that as like the successful one, and projecting that onto people too is like different.
Yeah, if you're
people.
an adult and you have kids, think about which kids are the most successful
Yeah.
in your mind. The ones that are independent, which I think is good. Should be independent, should be able to take care of yourself.
At what age?
I mean, in my mind, 16. Like, you should have skills to be able to take care of yourself and the desire to do it. And that's not a parent's fault necessarily. Society has trained us to have our kids be kids till they're 25 or later.
I disagree with you.
We disagree on that.
We disagree on that. I say that parents have absolutely a responsibility, if that's like what you see and like what you want to help guide your children with, that you can help undermine that societal influence to an extent.
Yeah, it depends on how much technology you take away.
Or it depends on how much time you spend with them.
And their personality. I honestly think like
their personality.
The kids are going to have their own journey and you have to provide them with what you can, but then they're going to have their own journey through life. They'll find things in their own time.
Of course. Yeah. I feel like when my kids were young, I consciously and unconsciously kind of just programmed them to not think like me, but to think bigger. I don't know.
Which is good.
Yeah. Because I mean, we were talking about Wayne Dyer when they were in elementary school.
Most people have no idea who that is.
Oh, he's a spiritual teacher. And
like a guru teaches about
people
love and light.
Get weird about guru, the word guru.
I think he was more of a motivation.
Yeah, he's a motivational speaker.
If you say spiritual, people think like guru from India.
He's the original spiritual gangster. No, seriously.
I don't know what that means either.
Like he would wear the t-shirt that says spiritual gangster.
I still don't know what that means.
Well, like, so he tells a lot of stories about how he used to be an alcoholic and then he went to his dad's grave site, and the moment, I'm gonna start crying. Oh my gosh, I always do this. I'm empathic. The moment that he forgave his father, because his father was a pretty dastardly rascal, I guess. And the moment he forgave him, he quit drinking and he went back to his office. He closed his office in, I think, Santa Monica. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it was California.
Doing what?
Therapy. He was a therapist.
Okay.
And he opened or moved to, I think, Maui. I think he moved to Maui, moved his whole family to Maui, and he was like, I'm done with that, whatever. And he just like went on this spiritual journey, and he went on to write like so many books and speaking events, and he really shaped the way that motivational speaking was like kind of the foundation, like the Louise Hay things where like there's an emotional foundation to every physical ailment, like that type of way of thinking. So he was really, we're going off topic, but so I would be playing the recordings for my kids in the morning before they went to school. And it's so funny because like now, like a lot of their friends, if you ask them, their friends or their friend groups from past, they say like, oh, this kid, Artie, let's just say she's always like, she's the one I go to when I need help with my relationship. So she's always like giving advice. But it's so funny because I like programmed her to do that. So like anytime I had something in my life, which was a lot of relationship turmoil, I would learn from the people that I was looking at, like Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay. Who's the lady that you studied when you went through and did your inner work?
Byron Katie.
Byron Katie, people like that. And I would work through it, and then I would explain to them like how I did that. And so like all of my kids have that. They just have this like kind of emotional intelligence with some of that stuff, which is interesting. So that's why I say that you can definitely influence them.
Well, and I think that also brings up a point that people get stuck on. So people get stuck on consuming self-help material and gurus, and they never take action. So the other part of success is you have to take action.
Right.
So that's the key, is you have to figure out what you enjoy, think through a purpose, be able to move confidently toward that purpose and enjoy the process, not the end goal, and do something.
Okay, but
take action.
What if your purpose is more of just like being? Because aren't we human beings? Or you're saying it has to be a definitive purpose? Like I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
It's up to you. If you get to the end of your life and all you did is float around and lay in the backyard and not work and have other people provide for you, and that's your purpose and you love that, great. I mean, like, if that's what you decided and you go after it and you take action and you feel good about it and you feel confident and you're no fear, then yes, maybe that's the right purpose for some people.
Is this the end of the question and answer portion?
I think you have to determine your own purpose. That's the whole thing. Like no one gets to say what your purpose is and what's good or bad or the right, as long as you're not harming somebody else or stealing something from them.
Yeah.
Then all things are
available. What about what Waters said the other day? Explain to people who Waters is quick, and then I have something I want to talk. I think it would be interesting to talk through it to finish the conversation.
On success?
Yeah.
Waters Above Crypto.
Or purpose more.
So Waters Above Crypto, Jordan from Waters Above Crypto is his YouTube channel. He talks about cryptocurrency, gematria, and how it's related to gematria and astrology.
Okay, so we were listening to Waters the other day, and he said that he thinks in a more traditional tract of men work for things and providing, and women help other people. Like, I'm curious what you think of that.
I think his point was that women are better working with people.
Yeah.
So relationships, I mean, if you think of if history is real and the women were kind of working together at the homestead, whether it's a tribe or a home,
Mm.
doing the making with their hands. So they're always conversing with others, doing things together. And then that's how they would solve relationship problems, talk through things. So his point was that biologically women they enjoy more and would rather work with other women, and they're better at that, the relationship side of working with other people.
Women, children, therapies,
Probably.
healing modalities, herbalists, that kind of stuff.
And men feel more purpose and more success when they have an outward focus of attaining something, whether it's food for the family or shelter or protection or building something for the family. Then they feel like my purpose is to build a shelter, and they work with others to build a shelter, and then that purpose now changes to something else.
Well, so I think that's really important to bring that up, because like you talk generally about purpose, right? And so I think for men and women, it does kind of differ.
It can be very different. And remember, your purpose is your own.
Right.
So you have to decide.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, what do you feel lit up from? Like every time I am done teaching a class or like working with a client, I love the one-on-one. Like I am on fire. I'm like lit up. I feel so good. I'm just like, I'm vibrating like super high. And I'm like, okay, like that's a clue. Like do more of that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that look like for you? You said martial arts and
well, things that I enjoyed when I was
writing.
young is what I talked about.
Writing.
I did limited writing and probably didn't like it so much when I was younger.
I thought you wanted to be a writer.
In my late 20s, perhaps.
Oh, okay. I thought it was earlier. I'm still getting to know him.
I was definitely better at English than at math, even though I went to school for math.
Tell everybody how long have you been married?
Almost 5 years.
Yeah. That's crazy.
People are like, that's not very long. What are you talking about? She's like, or is it crazy because you're like, how do we last this long? I don't know what you're saying. It's crazy about.
Maybe that'll be the part 2 podcast.
I feel a sense of accomplishment when I do something like I was able to publish a book. So like publishing a book felt really good.
Mm-hmm.
It was a goal that I had. And now I feel like information that I think is very helpful for people to help them heal or stay healthy is now out there forever in the public. Anybody can access it. And I gave away enough free copies that maybe you can find one in the little free library. You don't even have to pay for it. Just get it for free. Or you can just listen to the podcast and you get the same information for free somewhere in each episode.
Right. What about the book that you talked about writing that was like,
we don't talk about that.
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about things that haven't been done yet.
I know, but it's an interesting idea.
And someone else will take my idea.
No, that's lack thinking.
I don't tell people what I'm doing until it's almost done. So.
Well, we got to go because Thaddeus is going to go right. Because it's a cool idea.
It'll eventually happen or not. So right now it's an idea. And until you don't want to go around telling everyone.
Do you think you were a Zen Buddhist?
Not that somebody will steal them, but if you just go around telling everyone your ideas, sometimes the energy gets lost and you keep that energy for yourself as you create.
Yeah.
So create and then tell everyone when you're at the point where you're ready to tell them it's almost done.
Between men and women, like I'm like, communicate, talk about it, think it through, talk through it. And you're like, that's funny. I'll go talk to my girlfriends about it.
There's some philosophies that it's better not to say anything, and then it will more easily be created from you. And then if you tell everyone, then sometimes they end up not being created.
However, there's another philosophy that says if you tell somebody something, now you have to do it. So then you feel like an accountability. So I guess it's just the lens, right, of which you see through.
And I haven't decided to write that book yet.
I know.
So
that's why I wanted to put you in the accountability, because it's such a
not ready to write that yet.
Okay.
I am almost done with another book. So there's another book that will be published and it's almost done.
Yay.
So we're going to focus on that one.
Okay. So how do you want to wrap this up? Purpose, life, dreams, goals.
Success was the podcast.
Success.
Success doesn't necessarily mean money, but it could be part of the success that you are independent enough that you always meet all your needs for the things that you desire and that you actually need, right? Your needs. So you always have enough for that based on living your purpose. So if you're going to find a purpose, you do in this society have to find a way to achieve your purpose while you make income to pay your bills. That's part of your success. You shouldn't love having other people do all that for you, because then you're dependent on the state who becomes your nanny. That's not really what you want for success. So as you define your purpose and you figure out how to live your purpose, you do have to make money in this world to pay your bills. So success does include money and could be monetary goals, but that shouldn't be the end goal.
Yeah. I like that. I was listening to Peggy McCall, who was a protege of Bob Proctor this morning, and she said that her husband had gone to the hardware store and blah, blah, long story, I'll make it short. But there's a kid that was working at the hardware store, and that he didn't have enough money to continue he wanted to go to school for something. He knew all this information about fire and blah, blah. It was like fire.
Smoke alarms?
Smoke alarm. I just had fire. Smoke alarms, in that he had like his really genius mind of like, the guy was super impressed, and he was like, well, what are you doing working here? And he's like, well, I don't have enough to pay the rest of my tuition or whatever. So she, as a wealth and success mindset coach, has made a lot of money in this world. And they went back to the hardware store, and they're going to help him. Like, help others. Like, how cool is that? I don't know. I just think that's neat that you can be so, like, think how much you can serve and give from that point.
Definitely.
Yeah. So anyway, I think it was just inspiring. So
go out and find your own inspiration, your own idea of success and purpose, and take action.
the end.